What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Pels in the Blender. Kind of just wanted to come to y'all this weekend as we talk about a little bit of what's going on in the Pels universe. So we're trying to get going. We just had the rookie press conference where, Joe Dumars and everybody introduced the rookies their first time in New Orleans, getting their jerseys and kind of getting to talk to them a little bit, their first real introduction to the New Orleans media. And we'll dive right into that first off. So the one thing we've been noticing, the one thing that's been going around, a lot of the New Orleans organization have been getting a lot of pushback, a lot of criticism about the trade. We've kind of talked about that. We're not gonna rehash it, but the one thing we're gonna do is discuss how Joe Dumars and the new regime, how they're handling that type of criticism moving forward. Previous when the organization would receive criticism and stuff like that, you wouldn't get straight answers. You wouldn't get anybody really addressing the issues of what's going on. You don't have that with this particular regime. Joe Dumars would ask, "Hey, how do you feel? About everything that's been going on? Does it have an impact on you at all?" And he flat out basically was just like, "No, I've been doing this way too long. We gonna carve our own path. We gonna do things our way. We not playing by anybody else's playbook." Now, some people say, you don't have to recreate the wheel, but at the same time, when you got a person as experienced as Joe Dumars, and you brought him in to kind of redo the culture and stuff, like to redo the culture of your team, then sometimes you got to take swings. And the first time they ask him anything about it, you can't shake on your confidence. With the one thing I liked also about what Joe Dumars said is he showed that he wasn't hesitant. They thought about it. They were okay with it. They were confident about the moves that they made. And that's kind of what you want. That ain't kind of what you want. That's exactly what you want from the person leading your organization when you brought that person in, to kind of change and shift you to a winning belief. Whether it works out or it doesn't work out, I want to believe that he actually believes what it is that he's doing. So I was happy to hear that. Also, in reference to that, it was the first time the media kind of got to meet Derek Queen, and they asked Derek Queen also, "Hey, how do have you been hearing anything that's going on, and how have you been feeling about it, man?" And is that not one of the best answers from a rookie? First off, but that's the kind of mentality that you want to hear from a player that you bringing in. He's like, "Yeah, I heard, I've been playing those dudes. I know almost everybody in that draft class. I've been busting them up. You know, ain't none of them gonna ever be better than me. So all I gotta do is continue to do what I do, and I'm gonna prove Joe right. And when they do make it here, I'm gonna bust them up still. Like that's what you want. That kind of confidence is probably why Joe and Troy fell in love with Derek Queen to begin with. Like, man, that's a dude we absolutely have to have. Not only do they believe in the talent, not only does he believe in the talent, like then that's another thing about basketball, and people notice that who when you in a draft class or you're in school or like on the AAU circuits and all of that, these dudes play each other all the time. So you already have a general knowledge and experience of who really like that and who not like that. So for Derek Queen to be like, and again, I'm not saying that he's right, but for him to be like, man, I've been busting up them dudes. I'm gonna keep doing it. That's exactly what you want to hear. So kudos to Queen. You know what I mean? Coming in, showing that dog mentality, that character that Joe was talking about, because character matters, and that's the type of character that you want. Somebody that's gonna stand on business. They gonna have to see me on the floor, and when they see me on the floor, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. That's first. Um, man, fears. So one thing I noticed about fears that I think a lot of people didn't really know, and I think is very important, is that when they showed the clip of him putting on his jersey, people saw Mike Miller in the video. Now, I had done the research from one of the previous workout videos that he had put on, and realized that Mike Miller was the guy's agent. So to me, that's super reassuring. Like I feel like Mike Miller has the kind of reputation. like what played in the league a long time, champion in the league, went to coach in college, and transitioned into something else. Now you've hardly ever heard anything negative about Mike Miller. So for Mike Miller to stamp somebody, you know what I mean? It feels like that's a sign of reassurance that this, and Mike Miller's out on social media right now talking about, man, I'm telling you, I've never seen anybody work like this kid. The talent is undeniable. In 3 years, I'm telling you, this kid's gonna be an all-star. So for Mike Miller to put his reputation on the line and stand on business and say, hey, this guy's gonna be this, I tend to believe that not only is he going based off what he's seen like behind the scenes, because those dudes know players' work habits and what it takes to be successful. If he hadn't seen the habits of a player to think he could make it and play in this league, he wouldn't say something like that. So it gives a Pelicans fan even more confidence that Jeremiah Fizz is going to be able to produce at a high level and produce relatively quickly. So that's good. Another thing I like about the rookies, if you notice, on night one, Jeremiah said he thought he was the best player in the class, definitely the best point guard in the class. I love hearing that. Derek Queen talking about a future class that's supposed to be better than this particular class, and he's saying I'm better than all of them dudes. That's the kind of mindset that you want. And I'm not saying that other players don't feel like that, but you absolutely need players that's like, all I got to do is get on the floor and I'm going to show you I'm better than everybody. Like, you can't make it on this level and achieve and exceed the expectations that's going to be set on these dudes drafted where they was taken and the capital that was given up to get them. You can't you can't overachieve and excel past those if you don't have that kind of belief, especially playing with the coach that we have. You got to have belief beyond that. Hey, bro, my game is gonna be able to withstand, and you just can't deny what it is you see. You can't keep me off the floor. You can't keep me from being productive. So I'm excited to see that. Um, Real quickly to talk about Peavy a little bit. He didn't really get to say too much, which I mean, he's a second round pick. There's not really many questions that's going to be asked to the second round pick. But what I did like is he seems like the older guy in the room. Obviously, he is, but that looks like a dude who knows who he is and come in. I ain't ready to play no games, but I'm really here to work. And that's what you want. He mentioned, Herb Jones and knowing Herb also, obviously, is a little not controversial necessarily, but we talk about the numbers real quick. Him picking number 14, like shout out to Brandon, but respectfully, Brandon gone. So like, who cares if you got the 14? And it's an homage to DJ Augustine, New Orleans legend. Then and that's pretty cool. So hopefully he come in and do that 14 some justice. You're gonna see it on the floor. I know a lot of people gonna be in their feelings about it a little bit, but it is what it is. We'll see Brandon with Toronto come, and hopefully, you get some 14 going that guy and he be able to do a good job. So overall, the I think the rookie press conference went relatively well. I mean, they kind of talked about the same things that we knew. Joe Dumars said, "I want high IQ guys." All of those guys are high. They seem at least like high IQ players. They're very confident, which is what you want in most of the play. Like not most, all of the players you bring in. Those dudes look like they coming in ready to compete for positions right now. So that's a good thing. And they all seem very excited. One, I know you're excited to be drafted, but they seem very excited specifically to be in New Orleans. I know a lot of people probably was targeting them and everything. And you know that process. You're probably excited to go wherever, but I think their relationship, or it seems like their relationship with a person like Joe Dumars is like, hey man, we gonna really come. You gonna get here, and we really gonna let you go do your thing. And as a hooper, that's really what you want. So that kind of wraps up that. We getting ready to kick off summer league. They kind of announced the summer league dates. So I'm kind of interested to see who's gonna be on the summer league team. So you got Jeremiah, you got Fears, you got Peavy. I expect Austin Reeves, not Austin, I'm sorry, Antonio Reeves. I'm expecting Antonio Reeves to play. I'm expecting Missy Queen. So I'm wondering, does Jordan Hawkins play? Because, and I know it's only summer league, but if you in summer league and you got Fears, Queen, Peavy, Missy, right? Like you gotta start Hawkins, I imagine, right? Like, is Carlo playing? Like, is if Carlo's playing, like, does Queen not start? I'm imagine you starting Carlo and Missy if they're playing, like Reeves and Hawk if they're playing. What you going? I guess you could start three guards or whatever. But the number 7 draft pick not starting in summer league, that's kind of wild. So stuff like that just makes me believe that Hawkins probably won't play. That's even if he on the team. Maybe they free agency kicks off Monday. They might have something go down before summer league start, and that won't even be an option for you to risk playing Hawkins in summer league. But just thinking about it, summer league getting ready to kick off. I know that's gonna be exciting. Them Fizz jerseys gonna be popping. I'm getting ready to order mine for sure. The Queen jersey, I'm getting ready to get mine. The 22 is kind of cool. The zero Fizz, that's gonna go crazy when they come out with the city editions and stuff. So super excited about the rookies. I'm interested to see if how much they may have improved or will improve from when college ended to the summer league, and then the progression from the summer league to training camp and preseason, because all of those guys are really young. But now that the draft process is over, they'll be able to really start getting in the routine, know what they're supposed to work on, start working on their games, working on their bodies, getting in shape and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see the kind of leaps they could potentially make from what you see in summer league to what you see come, the preseason and the regular season. We just saw it last year with Eves, excuse me, when and Carlo, when those guys were in summer league last year. Carlo played okay. Missy did not look good, and then you saw the progression from summer league to the preseason and the regular season. That guy was able to perform and be able to be a stable piece. So if that's the case for the other two, I'm excited to see what higher level talents, what they should be able to do from the time when we last saw them, in the college tournament and stuff like that. Then they'll get some live action in summer league to what they'll look like come preseason. So that's all we're really gonna touch on the rookies until summer league come, and then we'll see. Or, they'll probably put out some more videos and stuff like that. But I'm super excited. How Jeremiah always saying super dope and stuff like that. And super dope, man. I'm super excited about what what the Pelicans got going on and how things are looking for their rookies. So free agency kicks off Monday. So you're already starting to see some of the deals come in that's kind of, you know, teams might have had a player on their radar, like Nas Reed, for example. They cut that out real quick. With Nas Reed getting the 5 for 125, that just kind of already lets you know that, hey, who's out? Is Julius Randle out, or is Nikhil for sure out? Most likely. So you're starting to see some of the deals already come through. Kyrie's deal had already been announced. They got a couple other names out there, but the only reason we really gonna talk about, not only reason we're gonna talk about free agency, but the main thing is we already know that the Pels don't have a significant amount of cap space. So in order for the Pels to acquire players, and how most teams are acquiring players now is through trades. So you've already starting to see people announcing, "Hey, we're not re-signing this guy. We're not re-signing. Um, we're not extending this one," which is kind of adding to the pool that the Pels have to work with of the kind of players that they may target. So I'm gonna give a little list of what I think people traditionally would want them to target, and then I'm gonna give a list of who I think they should target through free agency first, and then we'll kind of discuss what trade I think they'll make. So through free agency, I think because they don't have that much actual cap space, most people that they're gonna have to that they could look to actually sign will probably be on, like vet minimum contracts and stuff like that. But I think if you look at uh what it is they need, I think they still need a guard, like a veteran guard to kind of not necessarily help because I don't want anything honestly in Fiz's way of playing, but I do think you need a veteran guard to kind of help bring them along. And I do think everybody knows we still need a big. Not necessarily unless you're going to trade for one of these star bigs. Again, I mentioned Sabonis, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you're not doing that, I think one of the names that's kind of being thrown out there is as a veteran big is Kevon Looney. So the big that I think they might people gonna reference them looking at Kevon Looney's gonna be one. Thomas Bryant's gonna be another. Guys that's been around the league for a while, solid players. They got some championship experience and be able to bring that to your team. Solid veteran pickups. Nothing wrong with those players if you're able to acquire them. Both of them seem like they could fit the mold of what Joe Dumars is trying to bring in. Kevon Looney, a great teammate, not a pushover, hits the boards, dude was ass. So I could see him fitting. Similarly with Thomas Bryant, could come in, be stable, not looking to play crazy minutes, you know what I mean, and be a contributor. Just be a solid force if you need to play. If let's say your young players aren't playing well from the big spot, I could see that. Um, from the guard position, a name to look out for because again, we're talking about those relationships. Malcolm Brogdon is probably going to be a name that they look at from his ties to Washington and Troy Weaver. You think if they could sign a guard for a vet minimum that they could bring in and kind of play, but not have to play too much, that going to be stable, give you some shooting, going to defend, be able to run an offense, can handle playing for a Willie Green. You know what I mean? Going to be able to handle the nights where he's not playing minutes and stuff like that. That's the kind of guy I could see them. I could see them bringing in for a vet minimum as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you hear connections with that type of player as well. Um, let's see who do we have here. So those are the players, and I know that list isn't crazy long, but I don't. I mean, I'm not really sure if the Pelicans look in free agency specifically to target the players that they want to add. But there's some other names that I think that are in free agency that I think will be super exciting and be able to be if you could get them for the right numbers, obviously. I think would be fun and be able to provide some help for the team. So the first name I want to talk about is D'Angelo Russell. Now I understand D'Lo's still young enough and in his career to where you're probably not getting D'Lo for vet minimum, but I don't know. I mean, you don't know what's going on with D'Lo after he done kind of bounced around the league a little bit. His value's not too high, so he might have to come out and try and reestablish himself a little bit so he can get somewhat of a contract. Um, so I'm not sure where he's gonna go. But if you told me we had Jordan Poole, D'Angelo Russell, and Fizz, like I think especially if you got D'Lo for like some decent money, shooting, ball handling, passing, and you ain't got to play him that much, but I think it'll be solid, stable point guard play, and it'll be exciting. He could play off the ball. We've seen him do that. I think that'll be an exciting move. That's a name that I don't think a lot of people are saying. The other name I know people are talking about, but again, another guy I take a vet minimum swing on that might have some high upside is Bol Bol. I know people get tired of mentioning Bol Bol and tying their wagons to Bol Bol. But when Bol Bol was in Orlando and got some, even recently when he was in Phoenix, when he was able to get a decent amount of playing time, and I'm not saying he's got to go out there for 30 minutes a game, but if you could get 15, 18 minutes a game for Bol Bol, this guy is very productive from what we see. You keep him engaged, shoot, put the ball on the floor, still 7 feet, like wing, could attack the rim, could be a rebounder and a rim protected deterrent. Not necessarily saying that he's gonna be out there and be Wimby, but he could get you 1 or 2 blocks a game. Like that wouldn't be a stretch to say, hey, go out there and play some five with Poole and Fizz and Queen. You imagine Queen and Bobo. So I don't know. I just think that'll be a exciting piece to add, especially if you could do it for cheap. I think you just have a bunch of players that could do a bunch of different things, and that's how if you watch the teams that are successful, that's what you have. A lot of players that are very versatile that could do a lot of different things. Um, Another player I would like for them to target, and again, I'm not sure they will, is Santi Aldama. Now, I don't know what Santi Aldama's market necessarily looks like, especially when Nas Reed was a six man essentially and just got 25, 25 mil. Like, I don't know what that does for, and not saying those two are comparable necessarily, but Santi Aldama is an upcoming young big. Versatile, can shoot the ball, put it on the floor, defend a little bit, So if that's another player that I think if you add it to this particular team, it'll give you a lot of depth, a lot of versatility. I just think it'll be exciting to have that kind of player on your team. So as far as the actual free agents go, um, the solid lower risk free agents, I think that they'll probably look at. Not sure that they'll bring them in or whatever, but Looney, Brogdon, Thomas Bryant. My personal uh my personal push or like something that I think would be exciting if you got them at the right numbers, obviously. Um D'Lo, what was it? D'Lo, Bobo, Santi Aldama. And Santi Aldama is one of those I definitely be willing to look at for a little bit more than like a minimum contract, obviously. But that's my three players. Now, the last thing I kind of want to discuss is the way that the Pelicans most likely are going to acquire their players. We all know the roster is like you could see it coming together, but you know that they still have moves that need to be made. Jordan Hawkins, what are we doing with Jordan Hawkins? That's 4.7 million on the contract. What about Jose? That's another 4.5 million on the contract. You saw I don't know if y'all know, but I'm sure y'all seen it now, but the Cam Whitmore reports coming out that the Rockets are looking to move Cam Whitmore. Man, and I like Hawk, but if you could do a Cam Whitmore for Hawk, some version of that straight up, I'm doing it because Cam Whitmore, athletic, offensively, more versatile, and bro, that dude is a beast. And you need more potential high upside players to come into this team. First off, inject energy into it and give you a sense of, hey, think about what they could look like in a year or two. And they do more. They have multiple skill sets. Like you could see Cam Whitmore on the floor looking like what Nimhart looked like a little bit in the finals. You know what I mean? Or what not Nimhart, I'm sorry, what Neesmith looked like. So both of those guys, I think, I'm sorry, Cam Ward, Cam Whitmore, not Ward. Cam Whitmore is a very exciting player that I think could give a lot of versatility. And if you could do that type of deal for Hawkins, I do it all day. Um, Another player, and again, I'm gonna keep pushing this one until some kind of resolution comes from it. Somebody doesn't say it. We know that they need a big, and we know that they need they want to go versatile. and everything that they've shown has the connections to either Troy in some way, the DC area in some way, or Joe in some way. It seems like that's how they really want to start the foundation in this thing. So would it be would it be that surprising if you saw a trade of Murray and Herb, and not saying that they want to get Herb out necessarily, but if you're gonna go all in on this season, would it be that shocking if they go to pull in a Sabonis? I don't think so. So again, until they kill that and something else happens, I'm gonna keep pushing it to see if that's exactly where they go with that particular move. Because if you were to add the minus a bonus, you really you really all in. You all in for the season, but you also all in for the future. You really give yourself an opportunity to compete. And I know, man, listen, I know everybody talk about how tough the Western Conference is, but if you can get into the playoffs in the Western Conference, you see players drop with injuries all the time. We know it happened to us. You see players drop with injuries all the time. People firing their coaches before the season. Somebody might haul off and do something and get themselves traded or suspended, and they at the technical limit and stuff like that. You literally just never know. So you put the best collection of talent together, and you give yourself a shot when you get in the playoffs. Nobody thought, and even though Indiana went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, nobody thought those dudes were going to be able to make it back and go to the final. They made it Game 7 of the finals. Sometimes you need a little luck, man. They had some injuries, some people go down in front of them, and guess what? They were playing well at the right time, and they also had the right kind of team to compete. I also think you need to get as much talent around you to put as much pressure on this coach to see, hey man, are you gonna crack? Are you gonna crack? Or are you gonna rise to the occasion? And if he's showing that he can't rise to the occasion, it's gonna be very clear that he needs to be replaced. So add as much talent as you can. I think Demontis Sabonis is a name to look out for because of the Sacramento ties to Joe Dumars. So again, I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying that that's the move that they make, but it's one to look out for. Um, Cleveland has some interesting stuff going up, which might make Jared Allen available. They just made the trade for Lonzo, which puts them in a very particular cap situation. Are they trying to shed? Is Jared Allen available? I don't think Mobley's available, so that's something to kick around. So these are all just a couple of thoughts, you know what I mean, coming in and seeing what we could do. Well, as far as free agency from a trade aspect, the last thing I'll talk about as far as the trade aspect goes, we better not lose. I don't want to say lose, but we got to do something with the Bruce Brown signing trade. Like, we can't just let Bruce Brown walk essentially for nothing. Like, thankfully, Joe was able to add Kelly Olynyk into the CJ trade to get Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey. So you saw Kelly Olynyk kind of go for something. They already used the Indy pick. I think they already used that asset to be able to come up, and that turned into Derik Queen. You have to be able to turn Bruce Brown into something. I'm not sure what it is or what his value is to other teams, but that's a player that before, if we don't do anything, we got to make sure we get some kind of value out of having Bruce Brown. And I ain't saying bring him back. I definitely don't want him to extend him, but getting something out of the Bruce Brown out of the Bruce Brown signing trade is significant to me. So that's all right now. I just kind of wanted to jump in a little bit and talk about some of the things that I kind of wanted to happen. I know there's some names that I kind of left off that some people are probably gonna think about, like Bobby Portis is one, um, Brooke Lopez is another one. They got some other guards and stuff out there, but that's just I don't really know if those guys, Bobby Portis maybe, but I don't really know how much those guys have necessarily left in the tank. and how much they help you with the way that it feels like Joe Dumas wants to play. So, but that's all for right now, man. I just appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share the page, man. Thank y'all again. We working to move this thing, and I'll catch y'all when free agency start. And better luck. See y'all next time. Everybody be safe.